The city was loud, yet for Daniel Gray, it had never felt quieter. He was a man who had everything: wealth, success, power, and yet, every night, he went home to a penthouse that echoed with silence. At 42, Daniel was the CEO of one of the biggest real estate companies in the city. His name was known, his face was respected, but behind the closed doors of luxury, he was utterly alone. He had no family, no one to call home. His marriage had fallen apart years ago when his wife, tired of his constant absence, had left him for someone who actually made time to love. Since then, Daniel buried himself in work, building empires while his heart crumbled piece by piece. It was a cold December afternoon when everything began to change. Daniel's car had stopped at a red light near a busy intersection. Outside, the streets were filled with people rushing to do their Christmas shopping. Couples held hands, parents carried gift bags, children laughed and ran in the snow. Daniel watched them quietly, feeling that familiar emptiness twist in his chest. He was about to look away when something unusual caught his eye: a small girl, maybe 6 or 7, standing alone near a bus stop. She wore an oversized pink jacket, her shoes soaked from the snow. In her tiny hands, she clutched a crumpled $50 bill. At first, Daniel thought maybe her parents were nearby, but as he watched, she began walking from person to person, stopping each one with shy eyes, saying something, only for them to shake their heads and walk away. Curiosity got the better of him. When the light turned green, he pulled over and stepped out, walking toward her. "Hey there," he said gently. "You look cold. Are you lost?" The little girl looked up at him, her nose pink from the cold. "No, sir, I'm not lost. I'm looking for someone." Daniel frowned. "For someone who?" She hesitated, then held out the wrinkled $50 note toward him with trembling fingers. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "I just need a dad for one day." Daniel froze. He didn't understand at first. "Sweetheart, what do you mean?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "It's Christmas tomorrow. At my school, they're doing a father-daughter day. Everyone's dad is coming, but mine's in heaven." She swallowed hard. "I thought maybe if I give someone this money, they could come, just for one day." The world stopped spinning for Daniel. His throat tightened, his vision blurred. The innocence and pain in her voice cracked something inside him that hadn't been touched in years. He crouched down, gently pushing the money back toward her. "You keep that. You don't need to pay anyone to care about you." She blinked up at him, confused. "Then, you'll come." He smiled softly, a real smile for the first time in years. "Yeah, kiddo, I'll come." That night, Daniel found himself standing in front of a small, worn-down apartment building. The little girl, Emma, lived there with her mother, Grace, who worked 2 jobs to make ends meet. When Grace opened the door, she looked startled to see a well-dressed man standing there holding a box of toys. "Hi," Daniel said awkwardly. "I met your daughter today. She kind of hired me." Emma ran up and hugged his leg. "Mommy, this is Daniel. He's gonna be my dad for tomorrow." Grace looked horrified. "Emma, you can't just..." But Daniel quickly raised a hand. "It's okay. I promise, I'm harmless. I just couldn't say no." She studied him for a long moment, his tailored coat, the gentle way he looked at her daughter, and something in her expression softened. "All right," she said finally. "But I'll be there too." The next morning, the 3 of them arrived at the school together. Daniel hadn't felt this nervous since his first business pitch. Dozens of fathers stood around, laughing, chatting, taking pictures, while their daughters twirled in matching dresses. Emma clung to his hand, beaming with pride. "That's my dad," she announced to everyone. For a moment, Daniel forgot it was pretend. He knelt to help her paint, carried her on his shoulders, and even joined the father-daughter dance, laughing like he hadn't in decades. Every giggle, every smile from her made something heavy inside him start to melt away. He caught Grace watching him from the sidelines, tears glistening in her eyes. After the event, they went to a small diner nearby. Over hot chocolate and fries, Emma chattered nonstop. Daniel and Grace talked quietly, about life, loss, and how hard it was raising a child alone. When Grace mentioned that Emma's father had died in a construction accident years ago, Daniel's heart ached. He couldn't stop glancing at the little girl, full of hope despite all she'd lost. That night, when he dropped them off, Emma hugged him tightly. "Thank you for being my dad today," she whispered. I think my real daddy would have liked you. Daniel blinked hard to keep the tears in. I think he would have too, kiddo. Weeks passed. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about them, the small apartment, the way Grace smiled despite exhaustion, the laughter that still echoed in his heart. So one evening, he showed up again, this time not in a suit, but in a simple sweater, holding pizza and a Christmas tree. Grace opened the door, shocked. I thought maybe we could decorate together, he said sheepishly. If you're okay with that. Emma squealed and dragged him inside. That night, they laughed, hung ornaments, and sang along to old Christmas songs. For the first time, Daniel felt something real, something money could never buy. Months turned into a year. Daniel visited often. He helped Emma with her homework, fixed their leaky sink, attended her school play, and shared quiet dinners with Grace. The penthouse that once echoed with emptiness now had laughter, drawings on the fridge, and the warmth of family. One evening, as they watched the sunset from their tiny balcony, Grace said softly, "You've done so much for us, Daniel." "You didn't have to." He smiled faintly. "You both saved me first." A year later, on Father's Day, Emma ran into his office, now her favorite playground, and jumped into his arms. She handed him a handmade card that read, "To my real dad, I don't need to pay you anymore." Daniel laughed through tears, pulling her close. Grace stood in the doorway, smiling, eyes glistening with love. That evening, as they sat together watching the city lights, Daniel whispered to Grace. "Funny, isn't it? I thought I was giving her one day of happiness, but she gave me a lifetime." Grace took his hand. "That's what love does, it finds you when you least expect it." And in that small apartment, far from his world of skyscrapers and suits, Daniel realized. He finally had everything money could never buy: a family, a home, and a reason to smile again. Studio microphone narrators closing for YouTube. Sometimes, love doesn't arrive in grand gestures or perfect moments, it comes softly, through the hands of a child who simply asks for a little kindness. If this story touched your heart, make sure to subscribe for more powerful, emotional stories about love, hope, and second chances. Heart.